Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we got our hands on a 2025 Dodge Hornet RT plug-in hybrid. And you might be wondering, why the heck are you driving a Hornet? And the reason why is because I seriously believe it's one of the most misunderstood vehicles that Chrysler's come out with in probably the last 20 years. Now keep in mind, Dodge, which is now kind of more aimed at performance, has really missed its mark because it's only got, well, right now it's only got the Durango and this. The new Charger's due out anytime now. And the real problem is, back in 2020, Dodge did away with their people movers, their Dodge Journey and the beloved Grand Caravan. Those two vehicles made up over 50% of Dodge's sales. With those gone, Dodge focuses on more of this performance market. The only issue with that is it really needs entry-level vehicles to make up some sales and to make people want to jump into a Dodge. Now, Dodge was nice enough to send this Hornet RT to me for a couple days during the Thanksgiving weekend. So yeah, I'm gonna be traveling with it. Got family, I got 2 teenage kids, 2 dogs. So yeah, it's a compact SUV. Now keep in mind, my wife drives a 2020 Jeep Renegade Limited 4x4. That is based on the same exact architecture that this is on. This one just has a little bit longer wheelbase. And because this is the RT, this has a 1.3 liter turbo 4 under the hood with the assist of electric motors in the rear. My wife's has a 1.3 liter turbo, the same exact engine. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this compares to the performance of her Renegade. Now, in this video, I just want to go through just a couple minutes. I want to show you why I think the Hornet's kind of falling flat right off the bat. And I don't think it's really, how can I say it? It's not really the Hornet's fault. I think this thing was just made to kind of bring people in and kind of show that Dodge is like building new product. It's been on the market since 2023, so this is its technically 3rd year in production. But I want to go through this one. This one is a fully loaded RT with the track pack and blacktop package. So right off the bat, being fully loaded, this thing comes with a sticker. Now you're gonna be sticker shocked on this one. $54,000. $54,000 for a C segment crossover. That's crazy. Now mind you, its sister vehicle, which is not built at the same plant, but is based on the same architecture, the Jeep Compass, does have one model under $30,000. Unfortunately for the Hornet, it starts with the GT package, which has the Hurricane 4, the 2-liter turbo, at just over $30,000. So you can't get into one of these things under $30,000. Now, mind you, all Hornets are all-wheel drive, so you have the added cost of that. But with this one, you're getting the plug-in hybrid system. So I just don't see $54,000 in this thing, and I'm going to show you why right off my first impressions. Now, I've been around the Hornet quite a bit. I've never really got to drive the Hornet RT. I've drove a Hornet GT before, but never the RT. And I'll tell you right off the bat, just driving it a few miles since I got it this morning, the 1.3 liter with the electric motors drives phenomenal. My wife's 1.3 is actually a good little motor in her Renegade, but it has a lot of turbo lag. The electric motors basically cancel turbo lag right out on this thing. It's instant power, feels good. Can't complain about that. But where this thing falls short, and like again, is the price and what you get. So I'm just gonna go through a couple things. The first thing is, I'm 6'1". I'm a heavy guy. I'm close to 300, I'm like 300 pounds. So the problem I have with this thing is, one, being 6'1", it's tight, like kind of hard to get in. Just like a typical Alfa Romeo, you have these big sills here, and you gotta kind of duck to get in. So I smack my head a lot getting in this thing already. Another thing is while it looks really sharp on the inside, there's a couple things for tall people like me that will struggle. Mainly, that tall center console digs into my side. I have the seat where I normally would sit all the way back. You can see how much I actually sit back because I'm 6'1". But another thing is, the armrests in this thing sit really low, mainly because of the Harman Kardon sound system. And where my knee sits is actually above it. So it's kind of like pushing in my knee. So, and I have 2 teenage kids. One's 15 and one's 13. With my seat all the way back, there's not much leg room. So it'll be very interesting using this week, because with kids, you know how they are, especially teenagers, they're growing. There isn't a whole lot of room back here. So it'll be interesting to see what they say. Also, my daughter was quick to notice that the back kind of looks claustrophobic because the windowsill sits so high. She doesn't like that. But Dodge does give you a small panoramic roof. It doesn't run all the way to the back. It mainly goes over the driver's seat. So, one other thing I noticed right off the bat is for $54,000, we're getting, like I said, a handsome looking car, but material-wise, it's not up to par for a $54,000 vehicle. The first thing is, you have the elephant skin rubber plastic that we've gotten used to in the outgoing Dodge Charger and Chrysler 300 and the Challenger. That's fine. I'm used to it. It's durable, holds up really good. What you get here is this textured plastic. And if you look, hear how flimsy that is? It's just cheap. Super cheap. This is like a faux kind of material. It's like a foam. And then you have, well, it's kind of the same as this, but this is leather. Doesn't feel like leather. It feels like kind of like faux rubber. It's kind of like a texturized like rubber material. It does have this nice stitching, but everything else, super cheap plastic. Now, let's get in here real quick. I'm going to show you a couple other things that kind of boggle my mind right off the bat because of where this thing is. When you get in this thing, you can kind of tell it's not built for the North American market. And the reason why is, like, again, how sloped the windshield is. Everybody in Europe's a little bit shorter than Americans like me. So, like, my head, like you can see in the mirror, my head sits above the mirror. I don't have a lot of headroom. So if you're a guy, this is kind of uncomfortable. Like you can see in the mirror, my head is like almost against the ceiling. Another thing you can see is, again, you have that rubberized, plastic that we're used to. But then you have this super cheap plastic. Even the leather on the steering wheel doesn't feel $54,000 worth. You do have these buttons that are straight up Alfa Romeo. Unlike the Tonale, where the start button's here, the start button was moved down here, and the E-mode selector was put on the steering wheel. Kind of give it a little bit different feel. But the steering wheel does feel cheap. Even the back part of it, super cheap plastic. You do get a full digital cluster and stuff, which is nice. But you do get these really nice aluminum paddle shifters. And the sad thing is like, compared to the actual shifter, this thing is super cheap. The leather on it just feels not that great, and it just feels flimsy. So that was kind of disappointing. If we start this thing, let me start it real quick. Like I said, you do get a nice, super crystal clear Uconnect 5 system. And I mean, when I say super clear, it is super clear. This is probably one of the most high definition systems that you can buy right now. As you can see, the actual digital cluster is very nice. It does have nice graphics. It says Hornet and has like the front end styling and stuff, just like most cars do nowadays. But the one weird thing is, it does have like street sign, traffic sign recognition. So you can see I'm in a residential area. I'm actually at a school near my house, and the speed limit is 25. The weird thing is, it's already got the speed limit set on the actual Speedo, the actual digital one over here. The weird thing is you see the word 25 is, none of the numbers actually show up until you get near them or past them. So it's kind of like a fading Speedo. It's kind of weird. And again, you have 100, let me zoom out here. You have 160 mile an hour speedo, but it kind of like fades in. It's kind of a weird thing to kind of get used to. But overall, you do get this nice stitching across the dash. This is the same faux, like cheap leather that goes across the dash. Instead of having the circles, they have this more angular vent than the Tonale, just to give it a little different looks. You do have these nice little like vent closers and stuff. These look like they're metal, but they're just plastic. This plastic actually feels a lot better than the center console area, where if you look, this is just super cheap plastic. Like, look at, you can see where fingerprints were and stuff like that. This right here, this is like what the new Dodge Charger is getting, is these actual like toggle switches and stuff. And I'm going to tell you something, with these toggle switches, this thing actually feels nice. It's rubberized like plastic, and it actually has good touch to them. I actually like that a lot. This cell phone charger is actually really good too. The only weird thing is like how it's angled. Now I have an iPhone Pro or iPhone 14 Pro Max that I'm actually using right now to record this, because I'm just doing this on the fly. But if you look down here, my iPhone 14 actually fits perfectly there, but it's hard to get out because of the angle that it's on. You do get these really cool metal pedals, which are nice, and they got a rubber texture to them. Well, like one thing that you feel really cheap about is these turn signal indicators. They're super cheap plastic, and if you turn it on, it goes back to the same position. And you can, if you press it down, it's just going to keep going. The only way to really cancel them out is you barely touch it and it goes out. They just feel like super cheap. It kind of feels like the plastic that you found back in the Daimler Chrysler era of plastic. I mean, I don't know if you can hear that. They're just super cheap and they feel like it's going to break. That's stuff that kind of why people aren't buying this thing. It's about the actual, like, what you're paying for what you're getting. I think this thing looks great. It has a lot of potential to it. But overall, like I said, with the rear, like if you look out the back window, the back of the vehicle, they could have done a little different. Let me show you that real quick. I'm going to go to the back. As you can see on the back of this, it has this jelly bean-like shape where it comes down. Yeah, it looks cool and everything, but you're losing a ton of usable room. Ton of it. If it was maybe a little taller and gave you a little more headroom, kind of looking like a Durango, it would be a lot better. But for example, in the back here, let me see here, it does have two buttons, one to lock it and one to open it, and you can see there's dual redundant buttons here. But in the back, it's deep. You have a lot of cargo space. But with this like cover on it, look at, you don't have a lot of usable space because the roof line cuts off. You do have a little door down there and you can fold the seats flat, but you lose a ton of space with this, like this actual design. And mind you, in Europe, they don't use their vehicles like we do. Over there, they have mass transit and stuff like that. These are usually vehicles that are, how can I say it? They're pretty good size on the road. They have small roads there, so they need small vehicles. Here in North America, we like our big SUVs, so if we go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards, wherever you go, you can put stuff in it. And again, you're losing a ton of valuable space. So overall, it'll be very interesting to see exactly how this Hornet holds up over the week with my family, especially it being Thanksgiving. Like I said, we're going to use this thing probably quite a bit this week. And see how we get mileage-wise and what else we can find out about why this thing has to be the most misunderstood Chrysler product in the last 20 years. So stay tuned. If you have any questions about the Hornet, I can try to answer them. Put them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them for you. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.